Among the news tonight, Mr. Donald Trump sworn in as 47th President of the United States of America. House of Representatives urges federal government to release the total capital allocation for security agencies. Nigeria Labour Congress frowns at recent hike in pump prices. In business, National Pension Commission mandates the use of bank verification numbers for all retirement savings accounts registration. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Iyaroe. As Mr. Donald Trump assumes office as the 47th President of the United States of America, some Deltans have expressed the hope that his policies and programs will affect Africa positively. The people spoke with our reporter, Ejime Udo, in Asaba.
The people said, judging from the antecedents of Mr. Trump, his administration will positively affect Africa's economic ties, insecurity, and economic downturn.
Africans stand to benefit a lot from Donald Trump administration in the sense that the economic of Africa is going to grow rapidly. I can assure you between now and the end of 2025, the economic of Africa will rise up drastically.
Like he has rightly said that Africa will gain a lot, economic and otherwise. So we don't know what is packaging, what is bringing now. He said we will benefit a lot, both economical, otherwise, the Africans will gain. Because the first time there was no more presence of America here in the Africa countries.
Going to be an improvement in the crypto space. So a lot of most of the persons in crypto space are actually happy about the whole thing.
They said the first term of President Trump launched a Prosper Africa initiative aimed at increasing U.S. investment in Africa, in addition to encouraging African leaders to choose high quality as well as transparent and sustainable foreign investment projects. Respondents affirmed that the administration will prioritize counter-terrorism efforts in Africa, recognizing the threat posed by groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and their affiliates. They added that the new American government will float the Development Finance Corporation to support U.S. investment in Africa.
And Trump coming is a victory for Christians all over the world. A victory for Christians all over the world in the sense that 4 years ago when he was the President of the United States of America, a bill of anti-gay and all that were brought before him, and he did not sign them.
According to them, several bills aimed at restoring normalcy in the U.S. will help to strengthen the bond of unity between Africa and the United States of America. They called on African leaders and stakeholders to support Mr. Trump to enable him realize the policy thrust of his administration.
The world is in a hurry to see what President Donald Trump will do in the first 48 hours as he's sworn into office. His coming in was a huge surprise to the global community. But now that he's on board, his policies and programs advertised during his campaign, people will look forward to seeing how he's able to implement all to the betterment of not only America, but the whole world. For Delta TV News, Ejime Udo reporting.
Shettima left the country today to represent Nigeria at the yearly meeting of the World Economic Forum, WEF, holding in Davos, Switzerland. The Vice President will join world leaders, top business executives and representatives of development partners at the meeting to discuss the state of the world economy with the view to improving its conditions. Among events slated for Vice President Shettima are a workshop titled Roadmap to Co-Create Investment Opportunities for Africa's Frontier Markets, organized by the African Development Bank in collaboration with the WEF, to boost flow of capital into Africa's frontier markets. Top on the agenda will be an announcement of the Humanitarian and Resilience Investment Roadmap for Africa in partnership with the African Development Bank, and foster partnerships between public and private sector leaders interested in mobilizing investments in Africa's frontier markets. Former President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has urged Nigerians to remain hopeful despite the country's challenges, emphasizing that the obstacles were surmountable. Speaking in Karu local government area of Nasarawa State at the weekend during the commissioning of a privately owned soybean plant and refinery, Dr. Jonathan weighed in on the importance of collective effort in nation building. He cautioned against the increasing trend of migration, popularly referred to as Japa, urging Nigerians to contribute to the development of their homeland instead of seeking greener pastures abroad. President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, in his remark, called for urgent action to tackle hunger caused by inflation, which was driven by high food prices, citing the current price of a bag of rice at 100,000 naira against 8,000 naira a few years ago. Also speaking, former Sierra Leonean President Mr. Ernest Koroma stressed the importance of Nigeria's role in Africa's progress, saying Africa could only get it right if Nigeria got it right. The House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has urged the federal government to release the total capital allocation for security agencies as contained in the 2024 and 2025 budget estimates. Addressing agencies during today's 2025 budget defense by agencies under the purview of the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Chairman, House Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Senator Ahmed Satomi, said it is regrettable that capital allocation to some of the intelligence agencies in 2024 has not been released, while releases to others fell below expectations. Senator Satomi emphasized that the release of these funds is crucial for the nation's security agencies to deliver on their constitutional mandate efficiently in the 2025 fiscal year. He noted that despite improved allocation to the security sector over the years, the intelligence subsector remains underfunded, making it challenging to achieve peak service delivery. The committee chairman expressed concern that some intelligence agencies, such as the National Center for Counterterrorism, received zero capital releases in 2023 and 2024. Similarly, the National Institute for Security Studies and the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons have not received funding for the capital or for their capital projects in 2024. The chairman stated that though allocation to the security sector has improved over the years, the intelligence subsector, he noted, has always been underfunded, making it difficult to attain peak service delivery. Present at the defense session were representatives of the office agencies of the Budget Defense, the National Security Advisor, Directorate of State Services, National Intelligence Agency, and the Presidential Air Fleets. Others were the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, National Institute for Security Studies, National Counterterrorism Center, and the National Cybercrimes Coordination Center. Senator Satomi called on the various agencies to work together to ensure the safety of Nigerians and their properties, assuring that the committee will carry out its oversight duty in the interest of Nigerians. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has frowned at the recent hike in pump prices of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, describing it as the height of insensitivity against the masses. Senior NLC officials disclosed this in separate interviews as oil marketers refuted being blamed for the recent hike in PMS prices nationwide. Similarly, Dangote Petroleum Refinery also said the rise in petrol price was not from the $20 billion Lekki-based plant, but due to an increase in the cost of crude oil, the major component for refined petroleum products. The pump prices of petrol rose to between 1,050 naira and 1,150 naira per litre, following the hike in the cost of the commodity by Dangote Petroleum Refinery and various depot owners. Dealers confirmed that PMS prices would continue to rise since the major component in fuel production, crude oil, has been on the upward swing lately. Reacting to this, the Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission, Professor Theophilus Nduwaku, argued that in a saner climate, representatives of workers, the organized private sector, and students would have been called to a round table to deliberate on the course of action and analysis of the consequences before the decision would be taken. A one-day refresher course and training for candidates due for promotion in Delta Broadcasting Service DBS Asaba held today with a charge on the participants to uphold the tenets of the civil service and brace up for the challenges accompanying their prospective positions. The General Manager, GBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Metulu, gave the charge while addressing participants at a course held in the boardroom of the station. Esther Puta reports.
Declaring the training open, the DBS Asaba General Manager, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, said the refresher course was organized to enable the candidates be conversant with the structure and operations of the organization in line with their new positions. She stressed the need for all to key into anything that would build their capacities towards improved service delivery in line with the mandate of the station and the effective service delivery standard of the state's government's MORE agenda.
It is today a mantra that Governor Buhari's administration has zero tolerance for substandard work. That is why, as an agent of government, we must therefore embrace the quality service delivery principles of your Buhari administration in the state by effectively controlling all our broadcasting processes.
In a lecture, a seasoned administrator and director of administration in the State Pensions Bureau, Mr. Ifeanyi Osuya, drilled the participants in ways of achieving effectiveness and efficiency at managerial level.
Take note of that. Effective performance is getting things done within expected time.
In line with the structure and hierarchy of the organization, he emphasized punctuality, discipline, training on the job, and obedience to seniors and constituted authorities, among other tenets and principles of the civil service. Our technical expert, Mr. David Wonye, who spoke on using internet applications for networking, said information technology, when properly harnessed, would boost organizational operations, adding that the positive use of artificial intelligence would greatly improve service delivery. A retired staff of the station, Mrs. Stella Amata, underscored the role of visibility and good marketer-client relationship as strategies in revenue generation. Some of the participants expressed satisfaction with the training, saying that it had spurred them to strive to do better, especially in their new positions.
We've learned so much and we look forward to actually implementing.
Even with this refresher course today, I'm able to learn new things because I learned so many things from different individuals that came here, especially in administrative aspects.
The courses that were learned, are really broadening our horizon in terms of modern day broadcasting.
Esther Puta reporting.
Christians have been admonished to live a lifestyle worthy of emulation and one that will position them to receive reward from God for their good works. Pastor Peter Olise of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministry Asaba gave the admonition during the DBS Asaba weekly prayer meeting. Gift Unosha reports.
Pastor Olise, in his message titled "Open Your Book of Remembrance for Me," cited how God opened the book of remembrance for those who feared him. The clergyman took his text from the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, charged believers to be kind to everyone, adding that the book of remembrance was a spiritual allusion to the fact that service and obedience to God did not go unnoticed or unrewarded. The cleric enjoined Christians to therefore live a good lives that they would be remembered and rewarded for, adding that when a man's ways pleased God, he would make even his enemies to be at peace with him.
When you talk about the book of remembrance, you are talking about the records of our activities, the records of our actions, the record of what we have done in the past, the things that we have done that need to be brought before God. The book of records or the book of remembrance is such that it reminds us, that's number two, it reminds us of that God is hearing us. And he's giving us assurance that whatever we do, God will not forsake us.
The prayer session featured songs of praise and prayers for staff of the station, as well as its overall growth and development. Gift Unosha reporting.
The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Tax Policy and Fiscal Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has disclosed that the National Assembly will pass the controversial tax reform bills into law in the first quarter, Q1 of 2025. Speaking at the weekend during the platform, an event organized by the Covenant Nation to facilitate national development, Oyedele also said the implementation of the tax reform bills will commence in July. The NAS is expected to resume deliberations on the bills after the suspension of actions on it last year. President Bola Tinubu on October 13, 2024, asked the National Assembly to consider and pass 4 tax reform bills. The bills have since received huge backlash, especially from those who labeled it as anti-North. However, last week the bills received the backing of the Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF. Mr. Oyedele argued that removing fuel subsidies was the best decision Nigeria could make, as it was no longer sustainable. He assured Nigerians that the ongoing economic reforms by the Bola Tinubu administration are beginning to yield good results. Since assuming office in May 2023, President Tinubu has implemented a number of reforms. Top among them is the removal of the fuel subsidy and introduction of the tax bills. The Nigeria Air Force, NAF, has debunked reports that it is responsible for the explosion at the NNPC wellhead in Buguma local government, Buguma community, Asarito local government area of Rivers State. Air Vice Marshal Olushola Akimboyewa, Director of Public Relations and Information, Headquarters, Nigeria Air Force, in a statement, described the reports as false and unfounded. According to the statement, contrary to the allegations made by the Buguma community spokesperson, who speculated that the fire may have been caused by aging oil facilities, illegal oil bunkering, or NAF operations. The statement added that the high-definition HD video recordings from the NAF platform, including footage from December 2024, clearly show the wellhead spilling oil and the barge already burnt before its arrival at the location. It added that the onboard camera system ensures transparency and accountability by capturing and documenting all activities, eliminating any possibility of indiscriminate firing at civilians or destroying assets as falsely alleged. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has said that over 18 transmission towers were vandalized between January 9 and 14, 2025. The company disclosed this in a statement by its spokesperson, Mr. Ndidi Umba. According to TCN, the incident happened in Rivers, Abia, and Kano states. TCN said that the incident attacks posed a serious threat to electricity supply nationwide. No fewer than 73 non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have jointly lambasted claims that the civil society is part of the reason Boko Haram and other terrorist groups are thriving in the country. They described it as stigmatizing, smearing, defaming, and targeting the NGO sector, which is inconsistent with meaningfully attending to the genuine threats of terrorism in our country. Recall that retired generals across the three arms of the military who have been involved in the war against insurgency in Nigeria, especially Boko Haram, have x-rayed the situation and came up with the conclusion that some non-governmental organizations, NGOs, international agencies, and vested interest have helped to sustain terrorism and other violent crimes in the country. However, 73 NGOs reacted in a statement entitled Baseless and Unsubstantiated Allegations Against NGOs on Why Boko Haram Bandits Thrive, How NGOs Others Aid Terrorists, Former Generals Commanders. In the statement, the NGOs recommended what government should do. The group noted that they are deeply concerned about the inflammatory claims by an unnamed former air officer commanding AOC of the Nigerian Air Force, recklessly accusing NGOs in the Northeast, Northwest, and North Central regions of providing covert sponsorship and funding to terrorists. The civil society group said the inflammatory statements, such as the one attributed to an unnamed former Air officer commanding AOC of the Nigerian Air Force, could lead to attacks on humanitarian actors, further deepening the crisis the nation is aiming to solve. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Still to come, National Pension Commission mandates the use of bank verification numbers for all retirement savings accounts registration. Details of this and other reports when we return. Please stay tuned.
In for a lifetime treat with the right touch and the right paint. Introducing OC World Garment Paint. OC World Garment Paint comes in varieties of vibrant colors, textures, and glitters. It is fireproof, soundproof, heatproof, and has no bad smell. OC World Garment Paint is a long-lasting paint that is very affordable and safe for both residential and commercial purposes. Visit our head office at Block A1205 New Modern International Market, Izinei Junction, Asaba Benin Expressway, Delta State, or call Uche on 0802-700-0337. Enugu State Distributor, The Great Arkham Ventures, 11 Timbershade, Abakwaba, Nike Lake Road, Enugu State. Telephone 081-484-05940. Nsuka Distributor, Godisway Plaza, Nsuka, Enugu State. Telephone 0816-120-8661. Anambra State Distributor Office, Otwe Multi-Concept Services, number 18, Mike Nwobo Street, Anambra State. Telephone 0803-936-7472. Lagos Distributor, Sonny Igbanda. Telephone 0803-653-7283. Anayo Global, Lagos. Telephone 0906-897-5528. Other African countries are Benin Republic, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone. OC World Garment Paint, beauty, durability, and value.
Main news. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
Donald John Trump do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Donald Trump pledged to rescue America from what he described as years of betrayal and decline in his inaugural address today, prioritizing a crackdown on illegal immigration and portraying himself as a national savior chosen by God. The speech echoed many of the themes he sounded at his first inauguration in 2017, when he spoke darkly of the American carnage of crime and job loss that he said had ravaged the country. Mr. Trump took the oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the U.S. Constitution. Inside the U.S. Capitol, administered by Chief Justice John Roberts, his Vice President J.D. Vance was sworn in just before him. President Trump will be the first felon to occupy the White House after a New York jury found him guilty of falsifying business records to cover up hush money paid to a porn star. Incoming White House officials said he intends to sign a raft of executive actions in his first hours as president, including 10 focused on border security and immigration, his top priority. In addition to declaring an emergency, the president will send armed troops there and resume a policy forcing asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their U.S. court dates. He will also seek to end so-called birthright citizenship for U.S.-born children whose parents lack legal status, a move some legal scholars have said will be unconstitutional. The inauguration completes a triumphant comeback for a political disruptor who survived 2 impeachment trials, a felony conviction, 2 assassination attempts, and an indictment for attempting to overturn his 2020 election laws. The ceremony was moved inside the Capitol due to the code, 4 years after a mob of Trump supporters breached the building, a symbol of American democracy, in an unsuccessful effort to forestall Trump's loss to Democrat Joe Biden. Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan today confirmed an outbreak of the deadly Marburg virus in the northwest of the country, with 1 confirmed case so far. She said at a press conference that was also attended by World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus in Dodoma, a town in the center of the country, that laboratory tests conducted at Kabaile Mobile Laboratory in Kagera and later confirmed in Dar es Salaam identified 1 patient as being infected by the virus. Last week, Tanzania's health minister denied there was an outbreak in the African country, saying no one had tested positive for the viral infection. The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, has mandated the provision of bank verification numbers for all retirement savings account registration and data recapture processes effective February 1. A circular signed by the PENCOM Head Surveillance Department, Mr. A.M. Salim, stated that the move would enhance security and integrity of pension industry database. It added that on the Enhanced Contributor Registration System, ECROS, PFAs will be allowed to update the BVN records of existing ROSA holders already on the ECROS. Also, PENCOM has issued fresh guidelines to address PFA complaints regarding the challenges of obtaining letters of employment from new employees. Amending a section of the revised guideline on ROSA registration of 2024, the regulators now allow registration of formal sector employees with staff identity cards in the absence of their letter of employment, letter of first appointment, or attestation letter. The Nigeria equity market experienced a loss last week, shedding 1.45 trillion naira in market capitalization. The all-share index fell by 2.94%, closing the week at 102,353.68 points, while the market capitalization also dropped by 2.26% to 62.85 trillion naira. A total of 2.252 billion shares, valued at 58.83 billion naira, were traded in 63,657 deals, a decrease compared to the 4.698 billion shares, worth 85.04 billion naira, traded in 72,562 deals in the previous week. The financial service industry led trading, accounting for 1.371 billion shares, valued at 22.27 billion naira, representing 60.86% of the total volume and 37.86% of the total value. The consumer goods industry followed with 253.54 million shares, worth 15.24 billion naira, while the services industry recorded 193.42 million shares, worth 931.8 million naira.
Next is a sports news desk for happenings in the ever-busy world of sports.
Warri Wolves returned to winning ways following a 2-1 away win against Ede FC in Awka, Anambra State in their match day 6 fixture of the Nigerian Nationwide League NNL game played on Sunday. Goals from Oro Ezekiel and Jude Eboho was what the Delta State sole representatives in the NNL needed to claim a vital away victory. After a disappointing home game on March 5 that saw Warri Wolves lose, the player gave their best in the field of play in Anambra State as they hope to secure promotion back to the Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) next season. Oro gave Warri Wolves the lead just 12 minutes of hostility before Eboho doubled the visitor lead in the 23rd minute. The hosts could only reduce the deficit as Warri Wolves missed their clear-cut chances that could have increased the goal tally. The national draw for the men's and women's versions of this year's Federation Cup competition will take place at the NFF Secretariat, Abuja, on April 11, with 2 clubs each from 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. The men's will begin with round of 64 matches after some teams would have been eliminated. Then, round of 32 and round of 16, dovetailing to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the grand finale. The women's competition will begin from round of 32 games, then round of 16 before quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the grand finale. Meanwhile, the knockout stages has been scheduled to hold between May 3rd and 4th, while round of 16 holds on May 14th. The quarterfinal is slated for June 5, while clubs fight for the semi-final ticket on June 18. The grand finale has been fixed for June 28, 2025. The winners of the oldest competition will represent Nigeria at the 2025-2026 CAF Confederation Cup. Nigeria's junior female yellow-green secured their first win at the 2025 International Cricket Competition Under-17 Women's T20 World Cup in Malaysia, defeating New Zealand by 2 runs today. This marked their long-awaited debut after their initial match against Samoa was delayed due to rain on Saturday. Despite a rain delay that pushed the start time by over 2 hours and shortened the game, the Nigerian team were on the third. New Zealand chose to field first, giving the junior yellow greys a chance to bat. Captain Lucky Pieti led the way, hitting Nigeria's first 6 in a composed innings. The team posted a total of 65 runs for 6 wickets in 13 overs. In the second innings, Sarah Bakiyat's squad executed a controlled bowling strategy and successfully restricted New Zealand to 63 runs for the loss of 6 wickets, clinching a hard-earned victory.
The death toll from Saturday's petrol tanker explosion in Niger State has risen to 98, with 69 people injured and 20 shops completely destroyed, according to the Niger State Emergency Management Agency. The Director General of the agency, Mr. Abdullahi Baba Ara, confirmed the updated figures in a statement today. The tragic incident occurred on Saturday morning when a speeding fuel tanker crashed, spilling its contents on the road. Local residents rushed to scoop fuel, but the tanker caught fire, leading to a catastrophic explosion that claimed numerous lives. Condolences have been pouring in from across the country, including that from former President Muhammadu Buhari, who expressed deep sorrow over the loss of lives and property. That's a bulletin for tonight. Just before we go, the thought. You are not what people call you. You are what you answer to. To end Delta Television main news, here are the recap of the major stories. As President Trump assumes office as the 47th President of the United States of America, some Deltans have expressed hope that his policies and programs will affect Africa positively. The House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has urged the government to release the total capital allocation for security agencies as contained in the 2024 and 2025 budget estimates. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has frowned at the recent hike in pump prices of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, describing it as the height of insensitivity against the masses. And in business, National Pension Commission mandates the use of bank